Hi, welcome back. I'm Emma and this is MK Sews. In today's video, I want to share with you the new club pattern for the Weekend Sewing Club. So hopefully that interests you and you keep watching. In all honesty, this is the third time I've recorded this video. I've been having some sound issues, so hopefully it's all fixed now. But unfortunately, because I have been having problems, it is nighttime now, so hopefully the lighting and the background noise of my family don't bother you. So hopefully it stays quiet. I've asked for it to be quiet, but we'll see what happens. In today's video, I wanted to share with you what I sewed up last week, which is the Anyone for Tea dress, and here it is. I'm really happy with it, so I wanted to share it with you while the club doors are actually open. If you haven't heard of the Weekend Sewing Club before, it's a monthly subscription, and as part of your subscription you get the new pattern for the month as well as all the previous month's patterns in the portal, and as well as that you get access to the Facebook group and the community there, as well as 2 live sewing sessions which are really fun. One's run by Sarah, who is the brains behind the Weekend Sewing Club and the pattern designer, and the other session is run by Sam from Sew Let's Sparkle with Sam. I'm lucky enough to be part of the vloggers team, which is why I've had access to July's pattern early, and as soon as I saw this pattern I wanted to sew it up, so I did. So if you're interested in joining the Weekend Sewing Club, I do have a discount code, so all the details for that is down in the description. So let's get back to my Anyone for Tea dress. So this is the dress that I made, but obviously I didn't start with the finished dress. I did start with a toile. So I'm going to talk you through my process from getting from the pattern to the finished product. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you know I always have to do a full bust adjustment pretty much, and that is because I have a really large difference between my upper bust measurement and my full bust measurement. So generally I'm a smaller size for my shoulders and neckline than I am for my full bust, and obviously this pattern is no different. I started with the size 5 and I was planning on doing a 9 centimeter full bust adjustment to get me the right proportions that I needed for this pattern. I actually, in one of my other recordings, I did talk through how I decide which size to make, so I probably should talk through that again. A lot of patterns don't give you upper bust measurement as well as a full bust measurement, they just give you a full bust measurement, and generally I find that if I use a full bust measurement that is my upper bust measurement and then do a full bust adjustment, the pattern fits me perfectly. So that's basically what I did. So my upper bust measurement is 102 centimeters and my full bust measurement is about 119 centimeters. So for this pattern I did use the size 5, going on the full bust measurement for that size and then adding in the space that I needed with the full bust adjustment. So I printed off the pattern, cut it all out, and then held the pattern piece up to myself. And for the full bust adjustment you have to do for this pattern, Sarah does have instructions in the portal for how to go about it, because this is a different shaped bodice, so the full bust adjustment is done slightly differently. But those instructions are really helpful, so it wasn't really a problem. However, you need to start that full bust adjustment knowing where your apex is, and unfortunately for me, the size 5 bodice piece, my apex finished at the hem of the bodice piece, so I wasn't able to start with the full bust adjustment in the way Sarah had said. All in all, I needed 9 centimeters of space added to the bodice so that it would fit me. So I decided that I would use some of the 9 centimeters to lengthen the bodice first before doing the full bust adjustment and adding width. I added 5.5 centimeters in length, and I added that halfway between my upper bust and full bust on the pattern piece. So I added 5 centimeters in there, and then I held up the pattern piece and my apex was finally in a good position on the pattern piece, and then I was able to follow Sarah's instructions to do the full bust adjustment. But instead of adding the full 9 centimeters for the full bust adjustment, I just added 3.5 centimeters. So all up, the space that I'd added totaled 9 centimeters. However, I'd done it in 2 sort of sections. The bodice fit me perfectly after doing this. So I'll show you my toile. So here's my toile. I just made it out of a bed sheet, but you can see that the bodice fits perfectly, and I think the skirt and everything fits perfectly as well. The skirt I actually used size 8 because of my waist and hip measurements, so I just used the size that would fit that, and luckily enough the bodice and the skirt matched up perfectly, so it all fit together. Normally when I do a toile, I do just do the bodice and not the full dress. However, because I wasn't sure if the size 8 would fit onto the size 5 bodice, I needed to check it, so I just decided to make up the full thing. So after seeing my toile, I did end up making a couple of other changes to the pattern. One of the changes was, you can see the sleeves on the toile sort of swamped me a little bit, so I did take about 2 centimeters out of the shoulder, and so that was the last change that I made to the bodice. I made 2 changes to the skirt pattern piece, and that was only due to the fabric that I was going to use. So the fabric I chose to use was 100% cotton. It had a broderie anglaise border, and I wanted to make the border the hem of the dress and make it a real feature. Because the skirt pattern piece is curved, I didn't want to cut the broderie anglaise off to create the curve of the pattern piece, so I straightened off the skirt. So in the end, it forms the sort of handkerchief hemline. I think when I'm wearing it, you can't really tell anyway, but that's what I did to make sure that I didn't cut into the broderie anglaise. Then the other thing that I did to change the pattern was I did have to slim the skirt down a bit. You can see on the toile it was more loose fitting and flowy, and then if you have a look at my finished dress, you can see the skirt is a bit less full, and that's because I had to take 15 centimeters out of the side of the skirt just because I was running short on fabric. Because the fabric I chose was a bit see-through in the light, I decided that I needed to fully line it, so I did. And so the dress is actually, the bodice is fully lined and the skirt is lined up until just above my knees, so you can't see the lining through the broderie anglaise. But yeah, so it's fully lined. I used the burrito method to sew the bodice and the lining of the bodice together, and then with the lining of the skirt, I actually just sewed the lining pieces onto the skirt and then just treated them as one piece. I just found that an easier option. So yeah, I think they're the only changes that I made to the pattern, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I think I'm going to wear it to a wedding that I'm going to in August. It's a daytime wedding, so I think it will be the perfect dress to wear to that wedding. So normally I would just shop my stash and use something I had, but unfortunately I didn't have quite enough meterage of the fabric that I wanted to use to make this dress. So I did go out and buy this one. So this fabric is from Spotlight. It's 100% cotton, and I bought it last weekend, so it is currently in stores if you're interested, and it also comes in blue. So you can get it in pink with white pinstripes, or you can get it in blue with white pinstripes. I feel like this dress came out pretty perfect. It fits me really nicely. I'm really happy with it. I'd really love to know what you've been sewing recently, so let me know down in the comments. But that's it from me. I hope you have a creative day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!